that can do super well in those team fights, gives the engage, but also a bit of leeway to Khan where he can have a bit of control on that top side, but not going to get that opportunity. Instead, FPX are going to ban it away, and at least with the Wukong and the Renekton ban, it looks like he could potentially be going back towards him.
I expect the Ornn, but I agree with you. I would have liked to see the Wukong. It fits his playstyle much better. And then for the question of RNG, obviously their comp is going to be able to play teamfights very well with Aphelios and Syndra as carries. I would expect them to also pick up strong frontline champions as well, whether it's, a Nautilus, a Leona, and then they're going to have options to counter and pick topside. So, ooh, they're actually trying to force FPX to pick Nautilus, but, Karma's still a flex if Crisp is comfortable to play that champion.
The thing is, though, I feel like RNG are kind of hurting themselves here, because right now what they're lacking is this big engage tool. So they don't, if you're going to have like the likes of an Ornn taken away here from Khan, it's a little bit risky because you'll have New be able to pick up some counters to that. But then you no longer have the Leona, you don't have that Nautilus as well here as that big engage tool. So you're heavily reliant on what New decides to go with here to provide that engage.
But so they called this bluff, right? They were saying, hey, we know Crisp isn't going to be the one to pick this Karma. We're going to choke him out and force him onto the Nautilus. They do that. And now, so we have the Aphelios, could go top, could go support, but I was going to say they have the option to pick the Ornn, and they have the engage that you wanted to see.
They can have the Kayle, though. FPX have got this really nice composition that's got a bunch of wave clear, and it feels like, as you're saying, a mind games back and forth, but I love this for Khan.
I mean, essentially a triple AD carry with steroids in the mix on side of Crisp, right? That's what the Karma does. He's played this many times before, so Khan back on Kayle. While for RNG, you're seeing Ming on the support. Sett gonna spice things up a little bit.
And the beauty of this for FPX is because you have the Ashe with the Nautilus, you still get the engage that oftentimes lacks in this Kayle composition. So I love what FPX have drafted here.
Yeah, I think what FPX has is very strong, and the thing I like it is it goes back to game 2. You have a strength at all points in the game. You can obviously create early pressure because Karma will have the push at the level 6 mark. You come online with the Ashe to create picks. Then you have the Kayle, who's going to scalp and be your late game monster. On the side of RNG, it's much more straightforward, right? We expect him to be strong in the mid game, looking for these, these 5v5 team fights, and it's going to rely a lot on Gala once again.
Okay, looking towards Gala as it feels like the music's ramped up here in the series. Our pick band music has been different. Chinese side looks at this and says, RNG FPX, these are our summer finalists. We expect them to go the distance and put on a bit of a show. And granted, that show has been like grunge rock mixed with pop. It's like, why does this exist? We're getting to a game 3 where I hope we get the Rolling Stones, bit of Creedence Clearwater, Lynyrd Skynyrd.
What's your problem with grunge rock pop?
First of all, it sucks.
What's
Second of all,
baby
not
metal?
sure
Is that what we need? What's it?
It's like Kylie Minogue mixed with Carly Rae Jepsen, who does Call Me Maybe.
That is a great song. How dare you?
No, mixed with all kinds of nonsense. And before I dig myself into a hole, we're going to run into game 3. There's been a good series, and the 3 of us will take it through till the end. RNG FPX. Here comes game number 3. Let's get those gyos to bring you onto the Rift. Someone was outside on a bridge holding a sign. That looked like a very windy day. And I will say, in Shanghai recently, the weather has been atrocious. Yeah. So you going outside, no bueno. As that Syndra skin is ridiculous. What a great way to finish off the series.
At least on Summoner's Rift, it's always going to be
that?
nice and sunny, and
What
that's
is
why you can
that?
pull out the pool party Syndra.
It looks like
It's the
a
new
Super
one.
Mario Brothers Syndra with the poisonous mushrooms.
And actually, now that you say it, I am never going to be able to
It's
unsee it.
Princess
Daisy.
Peach.
Or Peach even, yeah.
It's Princess Peach with poisonous mushrooms. What the heck is that?
Except it's the opposite. You you go one down when she ends up slamming that on top of you.
Oh, that's what the poison... You got to play more Super Mario. That's what poisonous mushrooms do. You go down instead of up.
But... Well, actually,
you're
I've
thinking
played
about the red ones that
Look,
send them
I know
up.
I need to get a Switch. I know I need to play some Super Mario Odyssey. It's on the list.
Dude, it's worth
I just
it.
haven't got to it yet.
Lyric, you don't play any games outside of League of Legends, so there's no point asking you, is there?
Nope, I just play League of Legends,
Yeah.
man. I just watch League of Legends.
You are very good at it.
League of Legends just controls me. But,
All right.
this game's going to be interesting in the early game because early on for the side of FPX, what I would expect to see is Doinb try to push in this wave, enable Tian to go look to bully out Xiaolong Bao in the jungle. But at the same time, RNG also have a very strong mid-jungle 2v2. You land the Scout of the Week. You have a ton of bursts coming in from the Lee Sin, but that one obviously looks much more potent at the level 6 mark.
And imagine that RNG are going to be looking to play a lot through this mid lane, because as you want to start as for RNG side, setting up some of these dragons, at least starting to force FPX into these fights before Con starts to come online, before Doinb starts to get into a position where he's comfortable as well. So I imagine RNG, at least in this game, will be playing very heavily through XiaoHu.
But that's also going to be the problem, right? Because FPX's comp is actually, I'd say, slightly stronger, like very early on, because Karma does have that wave clear. The Graves will be enabled, and especially the Ashe at that level 6 mark is going to have a lot of like pressure. It's not going to be until we have the Dragon's Rage and the Syndra ultimate coming out to where we can start seeing some options, and potentially Ming as well. I feel like has to be a big force, and if you can find a flash play onto FPX's bot lane, then have the freedom to roam around the map and influence the mid lane.
It is Ming who throws the wrench into the work for me for the power dynamic, because there is so much damage that can come out from this set, especially when you garnered up a little bit of that grace into that haymaker. It can really be a game changer.
But hang on, Tian is invading on the Xiaolongbao. A great escape path as he takes away the red buff. Cool guys, don't look at red buff explosions.
And once again, RNG are anticipating what FPX want to do. It is pretty straightforward, right? You have a Karma and a Graves. This was the play they were going to look for. They're executing on it. He is still going to end up stealing away the Raptors, though. So overall, Tian finding an advantage. You'd expect him to be able to turn and take that bot lane scuttle crab as well. Potentially then just walk through mid and also take top lane.
XiaoHu, though, is roaming towards top side. So as you have FPX playing towards that bottom side scuttle, RNG might be looking for something else, but spotted Khan will just be able to walk away from this.
Early ward and a tri-brush here. Khan has enough mana to kind of reject any play too. So XiaoHu back to mid, while big wave built up by Doinb.
And like I said, now I just want to see Tian show in mid lane. You can put pressure on XiaoHu here, or even just go take scuttle
You're
crab.
going to get the root down, maybe to force out a flash. Tian walks away from Scout of the Week. Now XiaoHu, there goes the summoner. And Tian with some nice footing to get out.
And there goes any hope of RNG having pressure in this 2v2, but boss! Ooh, Ming!
Oh, baby.
I also want to take a step back and say, we used to always talk about how XiaoHu is the type of mid laner who's so great at like finding windows to roam, and he'll always take a window even when he shouldn't. And that was an example of when he shouldn't have even looked topside, because even anything you could have gotten would not have changed the state of the game. And obviously the potential loss you just gave up when it was very clear what Tian was going to do, and RNG had knowledge of that.
It's too far forward for Ming. He's going to get rooted in place, but the turret aggro just outside the range. Nothing burnt. Lwx already burnt the flash before in the previous.
And following up on what Lyric's saying, like even if XiaoHu does get up to make the play top, they manage to get the kill on Khan. If they then end up teleporting back towards mid lane, you give so much advantages towards FPX where they can look to make more plays with Doinb and answer consistently just off the back of having that extra teleport there.
Kind of interesting to see how XiaoHu comes into this game 3, a player who was quite fed in game 2. In game 1, we saw a good side of XiaoHu as well on his TF.
Yep, and this is, like I said, this is one of XiaoHu's picks, maybe not necessarily in the sense that when you think of an LPL Syndra, XiaoHu's not necessarily the name that comes to mind, but he was the one picking it up first in spring when our region still didn't care about it.
Let's go, Chris.
Oh,
what
no.
the heck? That interaction was quite nice, as the Haymaker with Ignite won't kill Chris, but I think that was a dredge line with a face breaker that just kind of slapped him back.
Yeah, you had the face breaker come in to at least look a little bit wonky first, but then when that hook connected with the wall, he flies directly into the waiting arms of Gala and Ming. Does manage to escape though, and doesn't have to burn the heal from Lwx, so at least just keeping some of these summoner spells off of what was a pretty big blunder from Crisp.
Yeah, and I'm actually surprised here. We're seeing XiaoLongbao go for the invade. Yeah. He obviously realized, oh, Tian's level 5. I can't do anything. Now they're going to turn on to Dragon, but FPX can definitely answer.
Tian over the wall first into Gala. He wants to take the kill before anyone gets involved. Ming speeds himself up, but the face breaker connects while Lwx comes back into lane. But the thing is, he's quite low on the opposite side as Dragon stops for the time being. A bit of a wonky play.
Like I said, Hysterics, FPX definitely could answer.
You did
sure,
say.
Everyone wasn't there to follow up on the play immediately. It's not like FPX were going to be able to find a bunch of kills, but they were definitely going to be able to stall long enough to create some kind of pressure.
I want to say, Tian is up in CS. Up CS and experience as Doinb is getting ganked. Launched on down, Scout of the Week. Unleash power. XiaoHu's not going to be able to launch it.
Cool. New, you've wasted time mid. Khan is pushing in topside. You're losing that wave. I won't be able to get a turret plate here, but still it's giving this room for Khan to breathe.
I actually think the play was like a good and understandable play to make because we've already painted that RNG are going to be the ones who are more on this timer and need to play through kind of mid-game windows. So they need to look for every chance they have, and the Ornn ult in the mid lane is a very typical one. It's just sad they weren't able to blow Doinb's flash.
And meanwhile, FPX will turn their attention to the Dragon. And coming back to what my point was, Tian is so far ahead in CS right now over XiaoHu. This scuttle is going to push him forward, and 20, the name of the game here for the Graves.
I was going to say, though, this is like a result of the draft, right? You end up with the Karma in the mid lane and the Graves, so you're always going to have prio mid when you want it, and you're always going to have support for this Graves to being able to go and, you know, counter jungle.
Yeah, and he's looking pretty disgusted right now. XiaoHu trying to get some vision, so maybe they can spot out how Tian is going to path through this jungle, but XiaoHu playing a bit of a risky game right now, as you do know Tian will be going back in towards this bottom side. At least doesn't have the support of Doinb as of yet.
And now we're going to start to see where FPX are going to be able to transition into plays for bot because Lwx is about to hit that level 6 point. So I expect it to change from FPX playing through mid-jungle to playing through jungle bot.
And it becomes really difficult here for XiaoHu to try and catch up, or at least answer for these plays on the bottom side, because with Lwx having that hawk shot, pretty much gives you the guaranteed know about as to where XiaoHu is going to be, what his path is going to look like. So Tian can just change up his own path to make it down bottom side with XiaoHu isn't there.
On the good side, though, we just saw XiaoHu see Tian with the scrying orb, so he's going to have some information.
And also there's been really good warding here from RNG. Another ward's going to spot him out, starting the Rift Herald.
But no call of the Forge God, so going to be rough for RNG to actually make anything happen.
And Gala and Ming have just been shoved back in towards that bottom side, so looks like they're just going to pass this up, instead look to try and shove in that wave, but Lwx didn't wander far enough away from the bottom lane where they'll be able to answer for any turret plates on RNG side.
You know, this is where sometimes I question the Colonel, because he had RNG favored at all points in the game. It was like all points. Early game win, mid game win, late game win. It's like, definitely looks like FPX have more room to work with in the early game.
He, as I always say, great at chicken. Everything else a bit skeptical. As FPX going to lose a bit of turret plating here to the Sett Aphelios as usual. While you can see XiaoHu towards the bottom side. Meanwhile, Kayle doing things top side is, alright, whatever. Lwx going to get forced out though, and that's big, especially with XiaoHu walking down.
Give them an opportunity to get a little bit more of these turret plates as well, so getting this gold into Gala is pretty worthwhile, and especially when Lwx and Crisp should be relatively okay to play at range and not get forced out too early. Gala being able to hit a couple of these skill shots really has made the difference in setting up a bit more gold for the Gala bot.
Yep, and it's, you know, I'm glad to see RNG playing more around their bot lane once again. And over to the other side, though, we know FPX will probably do the opposite, right? They have the Rift Herald that you would expect them to give to Khan, but something in me says they're going to look for the play bot with the Ashe Arrow and then just shop Herald bot.
I really want to see it go into Khan. That is the big win condition for FPX, but maybe looking a little bit less.
Forge God onto Khan. You're not going to see a solo kill too far beneath the turret, but that might actually add some pressure for you to approach and look for turret plating.
One thing that's going to be interesting with this is his ultimate is going to be down for just over 2 minutes.
Yep.
So it won't be up when Dragon comes up,
Sure.
and there will be a potential window FPX can play around because, right, in teamfights, Ornn pretty much is that bot that looks for the call of the Forge God and then hopefully can land some kind of multi-man knockup.
In teamfights as well, I feel a little bit sad for XiaoHu because I feel like he's going to have such limited utility. It's not like FPX are trying to dive in on top of you. They're going to be trying to play at range, so you don't get the disengage with the Dragon Kick. And even if he does manage to find some of these insect plays, you still got the ultimate from Khan there to try and keep people safe and allow them to either escape or deal a whole bunch of burst damage.
But hey, gents, Tian's top. How happy are we? As RNG looking for the pick on Doinb, who's also roaming up. Scatter the Weak will knock him down. Unleash power first. Doinb survives. That execution was atrocious until they flash forward with the Sonic Wave and get a late first blood. Meanwhile, topside, the Herald placed on down. And FPX won't be getting too much from this. And not even gold. Oh, actually, sorry, it does go to Tian.
It will go to Tian, but what we just said is we want to see this on Khan. So not getting the play working out for them there means that it's a pretty big win for RNG, where, yes, Tian will be big. He can play through these 4v4s, but definitely Khan missing out big time with that gold.
And overall, just right, a misstep from Doinb, but overall, I would say it was a good play from RNG overall, right? Finding the opportunity to get that pick, and Hysterics doubting the execution, but RNG pulling through in the end.
It does double down on RNG though, who've been doing a great job of reading FPX, understanding what these guys want to do. They've, in game 2, making sure they're not getting caught out on these plays around bot side. This game here, making sure they understand, look, chances are they're going to be top side. Let's move Ming up and have that man advantage.
It's so weird when, like, you can see they understand the game well, they understand how the compositions work, they anticipate well, but they have moments where their shot calling just flops so hard, and then we have a lot of execution errors. So, very strange to where we can see the veteran elements of RNG, and we can see the less convincing aspects of RNG. We can see the orangey, right? I'm sad. I was excited. I was excited to cast RNG with you, but you haven't said it. I haven't heard the orangey come out.
I've been saying RNG this whole time. It's the way I say the word.
You listen to him talk.
It's the way the accent. I think you're just used to my Irishness at this point.
I am.
Hang on. Chris, a bit of trouble. Wait for the unleashed power. That was better execution, guys. But top side, meanwhile, a Kayle getting fed alongside a Karma. And remember, there's going to be an ardent sensor on Doinb as well. This is going to feel pretty good if you can, as first turret blood actually given over and given to Khan.
330 gold there is wondrous for this Kayle, who at least still needs a good bit of time to get to where she wants to go. But with RNG not being able to find too much coming into this early game, you'll be okay. The problem is that now this issue is going to be accelerated as RNG have hit this mid game. They're going to be looking to now be a little bit more aggressive when it comes towards team fights, trying to get New out of that lane and go for these plays around these objectives. We'll have to see if they do get an opportunity to do so.
And while we are talking about the mid game, note that XiaoHu with that one item mentioned before still has a CS lead in lane, so doing quite well. Also, the Aphelios in Gala has just picked up a solo turret as well at 460 as XiaoHu. I'm going to be engaged on. It is first item coming shortly with Infinity Edge now in hand for Gala. So a fed Aphelios once more.
Yep, and now they're going to be the ones rotating on the map first since Lwx is left answering in that bot wave. So this could be a potential window for RNG to find and engage.
Stolen away by Tian. Nicely done.
And that's a big hindrance for XiaoHu, who is consistently going out of mana against Doinb. So if you're Doinb now, you just continually push this wave in. XiaoHu will struggle eventually to start clearing out these waves, and you get more opportunities to roam, especially with FPX's own blue buff now coming up in a few minutes.
Yep, and now it's going to be an interesting dynamic of how we see these teams work, right? Because for the side of RNG, it's going to be about pushing and moving as a 5-man, so bringing New over to the fight, engaging with that Call of the Forge God, and trying to find something there. For FPX, I think it's much more about playing through a pick orientation of just either having Lwx move or even bringing Tian to this lane and just playing through that Enchanted Crystal Arrow until Khan starts becoming that huge monster in the late game.
Reason we talk a lot about the Ashe, of course. Gentlemen, seeing RNG pushing mid, Khan off to the side. Trying to find a little bit of a window here. Chris to match. Lwx still top. Rift Herald has now spawned and sitting there waiting as FPX are now back onto the map, heading towards it.
I'm glad even the turret play is even in this game. It really does feel like that's exactly where this game is going, that at a moment's notice it will start swinging in one way or the other, and either that is just FPX keeping the slow pace rolling into Khan becoming strong, or RNG finding that fight that they want.
Yeah, now we're going to see them group up. Doinb actually potentially might be under some threat in the mid lane, but they are going to back off and walk a safe route. Everyone from the side of RNG is here.
Crisp, don't move.
Oh, Khan. He spotted out first. Call the Forge God. They found Gala with a great pick. FPX now have a numbers advantage. Khan flushes towards his team. Scout of the week just shy as FPX will also take the Herald. Gala getting caught out, not a good sign.
For a Subterranean Titan, Crisp did a really good job of hiding in that bush. Completely unspotted. New walks straight past them and sets up the play to burst out Gala, and just not giving RNG an opportunity to find these fights is wonderful for FPX.
Yeah, FPX now going to be able to use this Herald. It is unfortunate it's on Doinb because I still want to see this gold on Khan.
Yep.
Give Khan some money, but
he will.
Maybe we'll see, a push together and give gold over, but still dragging up in 1 minute. This is another window RNG need to try to play.
And at the very least, just coming back to Khan, level 11 here on the Kayle. You talk about the dragon up in a minute. still that 1.5 items across RNG's board.
But the thing is here, you do have Doinb with that Rift Herald, so they can look to make plays with the Rift Herald when this Dragon is spawned. You can either try and put some pressure in towards mid lane, or they can use it to crack open some of these bottom lane structures as well. So I don't even feel like for FPX's side, you even try and fight for this Dragon. Just give it up and try and get advantages through the Rift Herald play instead.
Look, I definitely agree with you that that's the play. That would be fine for FPX. Give over a Dragon, not too big of a deal.
But you're an
Who cares?
RNG fan today.
Well, no. But at the same time, I am positive FPX is going to look for the fight. They're still pretty strong, right? You have the Ashe who's spiking now as well. Doinb's going to do a ton to buff up Tian, who's going to do a ton of damage. And even Khan.
It's the LPL, so we can test. Ming's going to flash with the face breaker. Showstopper into the backline. Khan still has the ulti. Final Judgment used a little bit earlier. News now the target. Not tanky enough at this stage. And RNG with a numbers disadvantage once again. Gala has to flash away. And FPX keep winning these fights.
I'll bow to your coaching prowess, Lyric. You called that play. Now they get to move in towards this mid lane. And Crisp is just entirely zoning off RNG.
I've watched way too much LPL to, have faith in whatever play could happen. Still, FPX, knowing their comp is still strong, coming out with a teamfight win. And this is typical Game 3 RNG.
They have 380 carries, and FPX going to take 2 turrets with a Dragon available. New has TP up in 5 seconds, but FPX are heading towards this Dragon to reclaim.
And just look at the sequence of events for RNG. Super proactive Game 1. We're going to stop the other sequence of events because we have some sequence here. Hysterics, take it away.
Okay, thank you so much, Budget LS. As RNG move into the choke here. New with a great flanking angle onto Lwx, but no one from the team is there while Chris persuades the rest. FPX just have so much access. Crisp has delayed the inevitable, thankfully, as Ming to tank up, and RNG might not be going to Worlds this year.
Oh, that was disastrous from RNG. They get the setup with New, but when he goes for the ultimate, nobody on RNG is there to follow up.
What the hell was that?
It just looks so disastrous.
Oh my god. Yeah, he hits the ultimate. No one close to follow up. Overall, I guess good zoning coming in from Chris, but even watching Gala here where he doesn't have the confidence to walk forward and deal damage, I guess at this point the fight's pretty much decided, so there's nothing you could do, but...
Oh no, Kayle got a double.
Yeah, this game is quickly snowballing out of control.
But the thing is, the way you want to play RNG, right, is to have New at the front. You just whack through that Call of the Forge God, and whoever's the unfortunate sods who's stuck in front of you, just kill him. You've got the burst from XiaoHu, burst from Gala.
At the same time, right, that's why not a big fan of flanking Ornns, because flanking Ornn doesn't make sense when...
Oh, arrow onto XiaoHu. Princess Peach needs Mario to rescue her as he's taken down. XiaoHu's going to regret the decision of being born into this Game 3.
Lwx says, "It's me from downtown," and picks off XiaoHu. This is beautiful from FPX.
Lyric, your turn.
Take
it away, sir.
There is no words here. Watching this game is quite an experience. Pretty disappointing from the side of RNG, but
what's the positive?
Isn't this just typical RNG, though? I keep trying to paint it out. Game 1, always really decisive and convincing. Game 1 for RNG, 90% of the time makes you believe. You're like, this team's going to be top 3 in LPL.
Easily.
Game 2 comes, and it's one of those games where you're like, this game doesn't matter. They were in control most of the time. They are the better team.
And then
Game 3 happens, and it always looks like this. It looks like this every single time, Hysterics. And I have no words for this replay. It just happened. FPX are so far ahead now, even if it's 3K gold. In terms of comp, it's more like 6 or 7K gold.
I mean, look at the level. Khan's 13. An easy way to track this is the Doinb supportive items with New taking that much damage from a Kayle at 20 minutes in the game. A 5K gold lead, as Lyric said, feels like bloody 15 at this point. As another turret's going to go down even without the Baron. FPX will continue to take it all.
Is absolutely disgusting from FPX. There is no stopping this team composition right now. They're just going to continue to snowball, especially as Khan starts to complete more and more of these items, almost getting towards that level 16 mark as well, which is going to be on the horizon in the next 6-7 minutes. And that's where FPX just becomes so damn strong.
And as always, when you are this far behind on the side of RNG, it's always about a cheeky pick, always about a sneaky play that you can find, but obviously that is determined if the enemy makes mistakes.
But I mean, the crazy thing here is FPX, okay, they have so many options on the board. There's pings going out towards Baron as they reset. If this is left alone for 10 seconds with triple AD carry, including the Kayle and Doinb, it's going to drop super fast, and it'll be the nail in the coffin if it hasn't already come across for RNG.
Once again, I don't see the 5% that that the Colonel's seeing.
He's optimistic. He's got to be up. But look at that bell curve.
If FPX start this Baron and, you know, something goes wrong, XiaoHu gets in there with a steal, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, look, Nu doesn't have teleport. He's got to try and clear this bottom side, so FPX pretty much have a lot of the cards in their favor. And wherever Khan goes, he still has that TP, so he can join in at a moment's notice. It's just about getting as much farm and pressure in towards Khan, so then that experience levels up. He gets to 16, and it's that, as we said, last nail in the coffin for RNG.
I'm actually surprised that FPX wouldn't want to try to bait a Baron for the fact of, like, baiting out a 4v5, since then you know, doesn't have TP to walk over. But I guess it goes to the point of me saying that you need some kind of, like, crazy shenanigans to happen for RNG to win, and they just want to keep it as low variance as possible.
You guys keep talking about the scaling, how this goes late game. I know the audience will say, Ornn, you know, and Aphelios, but it's like,
Kayle.
yeah,
Kayle, yep.
Kayle and a Karma with her as well.
And it's those kind of things where it's like, it's Kayle, it's Kassadin, these are the champions. I mean, it's Kog'Maw. When you get to these super late games, they just make all the difference, and Kayle just falls into that category.
I remember there was one game I was casting where it was similar. One side had like an Ornn, Aphelios, all these scaling. One side had a Kayle. I said it went the opposite way, and then I saw what happens when, you know, a Kayle gets like 5 items and is level 18. It's like, oh. You don't typically see this in games. As
Chedikosara comes out, we're doing it again. Depth charge for Ming, who's just going to die instantaneously. The knockup reaches shallow balance. Gala's exhausted, sends into the back line, and it's no Apheliosing for you as FPX have this game in the bag, and Khan's only now joining. He wants some blood, and he'll find his first kill of the fight as Princess Peach will get Tian, but now he needs to escape. Okay, how do you get out?
It doesn't matter. Khan's got mid lane. He's just got to get that inhibitor. So you can run around as much as you want, but you're still losing your base.
Crisp is doing the do-si-do.
Oh, they're still in a really bad position. I guess you're right, though. Ultimately, it doesn't matter.
It does not, because XiaoHu's about to die as Lwx will get bursted first, and Doinb does have a bit of damage with the Magi's Soul Stealer. Bursted out by XiaoHu. And RNG will lose their jungler first as Khan's joined. Oh no, don't bring him closer to XiaoHu. Ming's dead as well again. He's died twice during this fight. This game, well and truly, over.
And FPX can turn towards the Dragon as well now on the way out, pick up a nice little cherry on top of the cake, and set themselves up for that soul point. So, I mean, at what point in time do you really see RNG finding the opportunity?
I think it needs to be highlighted, the people that predicted RNG, just obviously not thinking with their brains.
Look, clearly the superior big-brained people are those FPX predictors.
Lwx, your turn.
That game too! What can you say about that game too? That was RNG all the way. How does that happen?
Well, replays are happening, RNG are dying, fans are crying, and right now Lyric is lying to himself about RNG having a hope in hell.
There's no reason to talk about that replay. We all saw it happen. It's 14-3 on the board right now. There's a Kayle on the enemy team, but we should have never been in this timeline, boys. This is not how it was supposed to go.
Are you going to be apologizing for XiaoHu after
No,
this game?
no more. You know, I'm done predicting RNG.
Oh, really?
They keep breaking my heart. Some fan even commented on the last at YouTube, why do you keep talking about RNG like they're a good team? I agree.
Yeah. Can't wait to do the podcast after this. Somehow the episode's not even about RNG, but it'll quickly turn the tide as 15 on Kayle. I think we should have been munkering before this, but Khan's going to hit 16 in about half an EXP bar as he aggresses onto an inhibitor with Nu standing by. Baron being done. And Khan 2 levels up on Nu. He's going to draw the attention of everyone. Just call the Forge God to line on up. He flashes away. Okay. Paying the respect.
To be fair, that is the only play RNG can make, right?
Yep.
Like, you're not contesting a Baron. You're not going to fight them straight up. So go burn the flash and keep hoping that FPX make a misstep.
Khan's going to be aggressed on, but he's 16. Here we go. On to Gala. What beats Aphelios? Well, Khan apparently. XiaoHu gets the Sonic Wave. No damage done as XiaoHu is going to be caught on out here. On to Doinb. Take him
Khan
down.
got the kill.
Well, you can't, as Khan apparently got a kill. This game needs to end now because with Baron buff, FPX can run it down mid.
That's exactly what they're going to do with multiple members in RNG down. FPX will look to clear house. A well-deserved victory in this series against RNG.
You gotta say, against RNG, it's still a very big win as New takes the damage, Tian flashes forward, and Gala gets locked down. A big old good night to the new AD carry of RNG. And speaking of New, he'll drop down and Tian will drop the white flag. FPX with the 2-1 over RNG will accelerate them up the scoreboard and at least give them hope towards the half portion of the split.
Overall, I want to congratulate FPX on two things. One, draft difference. Their draft coming out this game, we saw pretty much a complete opposite of the Colonel. Their early game was great. There's a mid-game maybe trough where RNG can come back in. Their late game's insane. Great draft from FPX and insane mental difference coming into this last game that really showed for FPX.
And I thought we were going to have RNG at least be able to put up a bit of a fight. We talked about, like, a lot of times throughout this series, them reading FPX and going, right, we want to try and stop this goal from being funneled into Con in the top lane. We want to start making these plays around the map. But every single time the ball got thrown to them, they drop it, and it's FPX who's there to pick up the spoils.
Who's the problem on the RNG roster? Can you nail down a personal problem?
See, this is my problem with them. And maybe a lot of fans will disagree and point out that, you know, everyone's a problem, but like the roster on paper is still fine. It's still a roster that, sure, maybe it's not going to win LPL, which is a problem in and of itself when you're part of the RNG organization, but you can see how it could be that, you know, top 4 team. Maybe not the top esports, but in line with what should be of IG, FPX. But the problem is we see the game 1 that's so beautiful. We see the game 2 that's so well read for the first 20 minutes. And then, you know, game 2 falls apart. And then games like this or game 2 in their last series against WE where they just don't do anything and everything falls apart.
I mean, I don't know what else to add to that. That is exactly the problems that we see with RNG consistently. And it's always this point of early game is looking okay. Well, not so much in this one, but at least throughout the series, at some point, the early game will look strong. They get to have that slow, methodical mid-game where they just crush you out. But I don't know. It's so hard to try and get behind
It's
this
really
team
incredible how you can go from that game 1 of RNG, which is like, oh, wow, okay, to game 3. It's a slow decline, as we saw in game 2. But, okay, FPX win. Let's sign off of RNG quickly, as I like to do.
Like, for me, with RNG, the thing that bothers me the most is that you have XiaoHu and Ming on this roster who have a ton of experience.
Yes.
How is, like, the shot calling or the decision-making not more on point, especially when, like we pointed out, you can see they understand how these compositions are supposed to work. You can see them putting pressure in spots that make sense and all of this stuff, but when it comes down to, like, the minute details of the plays, they're just not there.
I think as well, the veterancy should lend itself to being able to smell blood in the water. Like a couple of times throughout this series where there's RNG running for the hills where you think, okay, they can actually turn around and make these plays. You can sense the moment where RNG can make something happen, but they're never confident in making that play. And it feels like Uzi seems to have been that vocal point of make this damn play happen, and that now seems to be gone.
And I love that you mentioning that Uzi was probably that voice. But at the end of the day, that needs to be the sign-off of RNG. We're done talking about RNG.
Okay.
Let's move over to FPX.
Okay, well, you started it. What do you want me to say about FPX?
Oh, apathetics. What do you think?
I think FPX are the better team in this series by a big margin. What do you do when FPX... I don't know. Say something.
So I think for a little bit of this, it's good and bad for FPX looking at the series as a whole. Because game 1 didn't look so hot. Game 2, they were the ones that were actually behind, but they should have been making these plays. So yeah, it started to get better, and it was a catch out on Gala that ended up netting them game 2 to bring us to a game 3. So I think as well, even when we look towards FPX, and yes, they did look good in this game, they did set themselves up super solidly in this game number 3. There is still some gaps in the play where we kind of go, okay, FPX, still a little bit of tidying up to do.
You know the thing that excites me about FPX, though, is the fact that you think about their series and how they typically go.
I thought you were about to say ceiling.
You think about the series and, like, they do ramp up. They have, like, slower game 1s, game 2s, they're trying to find themselves. Game 3, they're always on point. Happened against V5 last time as well. That think about when we get to playoffs and it's best of 5s again. That this will be a team that really will, you know, get a chance to show everything they've got. Sure, they might lose a game or two. They might be messy. They might have to, like, figure out, you know, what the best draft is against this team, but they always end up doing it.
And I think the cool thing about FPX and why I am excited about them is, look, We've seen in series against WE, Doinb on his Orianna, the big carry. We look towards Khan in this game being the big carry. We still have Lwx with these highlight moments. It still feels like we can have so many facets of FPX and so many different ways to play around that even if we do see a similar style, which is, you know, dives, 4v2 bot, 3v1 top, it still gives them multiple different avenues.
I mean, FPX, a style of team that's always had their strengths towards something like draft, right? The versatility through their mid laner, who plays 1,000,000,001 champions, where Lwx and Chris can change the dynamic in the bottom lane, and you even see Khan now as well, as he can play Gimgoon style, which was always weak side top, but can also be carry Kayle, you know, what else, like the Fiora we saw